Stop making this money mistake. 99% of people make. If you feel like you're doing everything right with money but still not seeing the results you want, you're not alone. And the truth is harsh. 99% of people are making the exact same mistake without realizing it. A mistake so subtle, so common, and so deeply rooted in how we were raised that it silently sabotages your ability to build wealth, attract abundance, and step into the financial life you deserve. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what this mistake is, how it rewires your mind in the worst possible way, and how you can break it today. Not tomorrow, today. Because once you understand this, your entire relationship with money changes forever. Let's go straight in. Topic 1. The hidden money pattern that keeps you broke. There's a reason why some people seem to unlock money as if they've been given a secret code, while others work their entire lives and still feel financially stuck. And no, the difference is not luck, not privilege, not intelligence, not talent, not degrees, not connections. The real difference is something far more subtle and far more dangerous, the automatic money pattern you inherited without ever realizing it. And this pattern, this invisible script running in the background of your mind, is the single biggest mistake 99% of people make. They don't question it, they don't challenge it, they don't even see it. They simply live by it and pay the price. The mistake is this: most people believe money is something you earn, not something you grow. They treat money like a transaction, not a transformation. They focus on getting it instead of multiplying it. And without knowing, this belief turns into a mental prison where the only path to having more money is working more hours, getting a better job, or hustling harder than before. It becomes a cycle of survival disguised as responsibility. And this cycle, no matter how normal it feels, is the reason so many smart, hardworking people never break through to real abundance. Think about the messages you heard growing up. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard for every dollar. Be grateful for what you have and don't ask for too much. These phrases don't seem harmful. They sound like wisdom, but they create a subconscious framework where money equals effort, exhaustion, and limitation. If you believe money only comes through effort, then you will instinctively resist any path of financial growth that doesn't look like hard work. You'll think investing is risky. You'll think opportunities are too good to be true. You'll think abundance is unrealistic. And you'll believe that your financial ceiling is permanently locked to your job, your salary, or your current circumstances. Meanwhile, wealthy people, whether by intuition, mentorship, or life experience, understand something radically different. Money grows through leverage, not labor. Money grows when you direct it, nurture it, and position it where it can multiply. Money grows when your mind expands enough to see possibilities instead of limitations. Wealthy people don't ask, "How do I earn more?" They ask, "How do I multiply what I already have?" And this shift in identity, from earner to grower, is the foundation of every wealth story in history. Take Warren Buffett. He didn't become a billionaire because he worked 18-hour days or chased promotions. He became wealthy because he mastered the art of letting money grow. He understood the power of patience, compounding, and long-term vision. He knew that a dollar planted in the right place could become 10, then 100, then 1,000. Amazon operates the same way. Instead of obsessing over quarterly profits like most companies do, Amazon reinvests relentlessly. It sacrifices short-term comfort for long-term domination. And what happens? It wins. Every time. But the deeper truth, the one most people never reach, is that wealth always begins in the mind before it shows up in the bank account. Scarcity is a mindset long before it becomes a financial condition, and abundance is an identity long before it becomes a lifestyle. Most people unknowingly adopt the identity of a money chaser, someone who believes financial peace will finally come after the next paycheck, the next bonus, the next raise. But millionaires adopt the identity of a money builder, someone who understands that money is a tool, a partner, an energy source that grows when properly directed. And here's where the mistake becomes deadly. People don't question their money identity. They make financial decisions based on fear, not strategy. They choose short-term relief instead of long-term expansion. They avoid opportunities because they're afraid of losing, while wealthy people step into opportunities because they're focused on multiplying. The mindset gap between scarcity and abundance is enormous, and it shows up in thousands of small decisions every day. Someone with a scarcity mindset says, investing is risky. Someone with an abundance mindset says, not investing is risky. Someone with scarcity says, I need to save whatever I can. Someone with abundance says, I need to grow whatever I have. Someone with scarcity spends their life trying to protect pennies, while someone with abundance spends their life learning to multiply dollars. You can see this pattern in everyday life. Two people can earn the exact same income. One ends up broke every month, the other slowly builds wealth. The difference? Their identity and their habits. If you give a person with a scarcity identity more money, they will lose more money. This is why lottery winners often end up bankrupt. Meanwhile, if you give a person with an abundance identity even a small amount, they will find a way to grow it because their mind is trained to see possibility, not danger. Your relationship with money is the real currency. Your mindset is the real investment. Your beliefs are the real strategy. And the moment you stop treating money like a paycheck and start treating it like a seed, everything changes. A seed is not meant to be spent. A seed is meant to be planted. A seed contains a future inside it. And yet, most people spend every seed they receive, never planting anything, never multiplying anything, never allowing money the chance to grow into something bigger. This is why wealthy people behave differently. They invest before they feel ready. They learn before they feel confident. They take calculated risks instead of emotional ones. They build assets instead of collecting expenses. They step into expansion instead of hiding in comfort. They operate from the belief that money is infinite, opportunities are everywhere, and growth is always possible. And that belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So ask yourself honestly, are you living to earn or are you living to grow? Are you chasing money or are you multiplying it? Are you protecting yourself from loss or positioning yourself for expansion? Because your answer is revealing the truth about your money identity. And if you truly want to step out of the 99% and into the mindset of abundance, this is where the journey begins. With awareness, with honesty, with the courage to say, I've been treating money the wrong way, and now it's time to change. This shift alone can transform your financial destiny. Topic 2. Why working harder will never make you wealthy. Let's be brutally honest for a moment. Most people were raised to believe that hard work is the secret to financial success. It's a beautiful idea, but it's also one of the most misleading philosophies ever taught. Hard work might help you survive, but it will never, on its own, make you wealthy. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people never want to hear. The world is filled with people who work incredibly hard and remain broke. Meanwhile, some of the wealthiest individuals don't work harder. They work differently. They think differently. They deploy their energy differently. They understand the real mechanics of wealth. There's a saying that's painfully accurate. If hard work were the secret to wealth, every construction worker, every nurse working double shifts, every cleaner waking up at 4 a.m., every overworked employee drowning in tasks would be millionaires. But they're not. Not because they lack discipline or intelligence, but because society trained them to believe that income is always equal to effort. So they pour more hours, more sweat, more stress, more exhaustion into the system, believing that one day, magically, it will pay off. But it doesn't. It can't. Because effort alone doesn't create leverage, and wealth is built on leverage, not labor. Jeff Bezos once said something most people ignored. Your margin is my opportunity. It wasn't arrogance. It was insight. He understood that wealth isn't created by how much you do, but by how much your systems, your assets, your ideas, and your structures do for you. Amazon grew because Bezos multiplied effort, not by adding more hours to the day, but by creating systems that earned money even when he wasn't present. The truth is simple. If your income depends solely on your time, you are trapped. You're essentially renting your hours, and hours don't scale. You only have 24 of them. Even if you're the most dedicated, hardworking, disciplined human being on the planet, there is a limit to how much you can give. But money doesn't have a limit. Money doesn't get tired. Money doesn't sleep. Money doesn't complain. Money doesn't ask for overtime. Money works 24 hours a day, as much or as little as you direct it to. Wealthy people understand this. They use time as the seed, not the ceiling. They use effort as the foundation, not the entire building. They know that money is your greatest employee, but only if you stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a builder. This is where most people fall into the trap. They confuse productivity with progress. They confuse exhaustion with achievement. They confuse effort with growth. They think that working harder makes them deserving of wealth, as if the universe rewards sweat instead of strategy. But the universe and the financial world doesn't work like that. It doesn't reward suffering. It rewards vision. It rewards alignment. It rewards direction. It rewards patterns that multiply, not patterns that drain. Look at Elon Musk. People say he works 120 hours a week. But what they miss is that even if he worked only 10 hours a week, he would still be wealthy. Because his wealth isn't tied to his hours. It's tied to his companies, his assets, his systems, his innovations, his decisions. His work ethic might contribute to the impact he creates. But the wealth? The wealth comes from leverage. Or take Oprah Winfrey. She didn't become a billionaire because of the hours she worked on television. She became wealthy because she took her personal brand, her influence, her insights, and her value, and she scaled them. She created ownership. She created products. She created licensing. She created a network. Hard work opened the door, but leverage built the empire. People misunderstand the equation. Hard work is honorable. Hard work builds character. Hard work gets you started. But if you stay in the mindset of, I must work harder to make more, you trap yourself in a cycle where your energy is drained, but your bank account remains the same. Scarcity teaches people to increase output. Abundance teaches people to increase impact. Imagine two people. One works 12 hours a day. The other works 4 hours a day. The first earns $100 per day. The second earns $10,000 per day. Why? Because the second person has positioned their time in a way that multiplies. They've created leverage. They've built something that earns beyond their physical presence. They've stepped out of the time for money matrix. And here's the twist. Wealthy people do work hard, but it's a different type of hard. It's not physical strain, it's strategic strain. It's the mental stretching of questioning assumptions, designing systems, taking risks, building networks, learning faster than everyone else, thinking long-term while everyone thinks short-term. They're not working harder, they're working higher. A wealthy person spends 1 hour learning something that changes their next 10 years. A non-wealthy person spends 10 years repeating something that changes nothing. Both are working hard, but the outcomes are worlds apart. Let's break the illusion once and for all. You cannot outwork a broken financial strategy. You cannot hustle your way out of a mindset that's trapped in survival mode. You cannot earn your way into abundance if your core identity is still tied to limitations. Because wealth isn't the result of how much you do. It's the result of how much you allow money to do. The moment you begin shifting from work harder to work smarter, position stronger, invest wiser, think bigger, everything begins to change. You start realizing that the wealthy people you admire didn't get there because they were superheroes or born under a lucky star. They simply learned what most people never take the time to learn. Money responds to alignment, not force. It multiplies with intention, not exhaustion. It expands with clarity, not chaos. So ask yourself, are you exhausting yourself or expanding yourself? Are you trading time or building leverage? Are you living as a worker or stepping into the identity of a creator, a builder, a multiplier? Because the person you choose to be determines the wealth you're able to attract. Choosing higher identity is choosing higher income. Choosing leverage is choosing freedom. And this is the truth 99% of people never hear. You're not supposed to get rich from your labor. You're supposed to get rich from what your labor creates. The day you internalize that, your entire financial destiny begins to shift. Topic 3. The silent sabotage. How fear of losing money blocks you from making it. There is a fear so common, so deeply rooted, and so quietly destructive that it prevents millions of people from ever experiencing real financial growth. It's not the fear of hard work. It's not the fear of responsibility. It's not even the fear of failure. It's something far more subtle and far more dangerous, the fear of losing money. This fear is responsible for more broken dreams and wasted potential than almost anything else. And the craziest part? Most people don't even realize they have it. You've probably felt it. That tightening in the chest when you think about investing. That hesitation when you consider starting something new. That small voice that says, "What if I lose? What if it goes wrong? What if this is a mistake?" That voice might sound protective, even logical, but in reality, it is the greatest barrier between you and the wealth you want. Because here's the truth. You cannot build wealth from a place of fear. Fear blocks clarity. Fear distorts opportunity. Fear makes you believe that staying still is safer than moving forward. And in the world of money, staying still is the most dangerous decision you can make. Let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates this. There was a man who always dreamed of becoming financially free. He worked hard, saved as much as he could, and kept telling himself, "One day, when I have enough money, I'll start investing." But that day never came. Every year he saved a little more, and every year his fear grew a little bigger. Eventually, his savings sat in his bank account, losing value to inflation, while opportunities passed him by. He didn't lose his money, but he lost his future. His fear protected his wallet, but it destroyed his wealth. Now contrast this with someone like Richard Branson. Branson has made bold decisions his whole life. Some succeeded wildly, others failed completely. He openly admits that he's made massive mistakes, bad investments, failed ventures, expensive lessons. But what separates him from the majority? He isn't afraid to lose money, not because he's reckless, but because he understands something that most people never grasp. Every loss contains a seed of growth, and every growth contains the possibility of abundance. Branson knows that money comes and goes, but skill, courage, knowledge, and experience multiply. Fear prevents people from gaining those things, and without those things, wealth becomes impossible. Think about it. Every wealthy person you admire, from Warren Buffett to Sarah Blakely, from Steve Jobs to Rihanna, has lost money. Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot. But every loss taught them something. Every mistake sharpened their vision. Every setback gave them new insights. They don't fear losing money because they understand something essential. Money is not final. Money is not fixed. Money is not fragile. Money is a flow. And when you understand the flow, you stop panicking over the waves. Most people, however, treat money like it's oxygen. They cling to it. They protect every penny. They believe losing money means losing safety, losing stability, losing identity. So they never invest. They never take calculated risks. They never follow opportunities that could change their lives. They sit in the same spot year after year, repeating the same behaviors, hoping for different results. But hope doesn't build wealth. Action does. Expansion does. Courage does. And courage cannot grow where fear dominates. This fear shows up in small, invisible ways. You see a course that could elevate your skills, but you hesitate. What if it's a waste? You hear about a business idea, but you talk yourself out of it. What if it fails? You consider putting money into an investment, but you retreat. What if I lose it? And so, without realizing it, you choose certainty over possibility, safety over growth, comfort over opportunity. But here's the part most people never understand. Your brain is lying to you. The fear you feel isn't fear of losing money. It's fear of losing what money represents to you. To some, money represents security. To others, self-worth. To others, survival. If money represents your identity, of course you'll be terrified to lose it. But wealthy people don't link their identity to money. Their identity comes from who they are, not what they have. That's why they can take bold steps. That's why they can move with confidence. That's why they can grow exponentially while others remain frozen. There's a psychological principle called loss aversion. It states that humans fear losing something far more intensely than they enjoy gaining something of equal value. Meaning, losing $100 feels worse than gaining $100 feels good. This distortion keeps people trapped. Instead of seeing opportunities to grow, they see threats. Instead of seeing potential, they see danger. Loss aversion is why millions of people leave their money sitting in accounts earning nothing, while inflation quietly eats it away. They're losing money without even noticing, slowly, silently, comfortably. Wealth requires a different relationship with loss. Not blind risk, not recklessness, not impulsive behavior, but a calm understanding that losing some money on the path to wealth is not failure. It's part of the process. It's data. It's feedback. It's refinement. Every successful entrepreneur has said some version of the same thing. If you're not willing to lose, you're not willing to grow. Look at Uber. In the early days, Uber lost billions before it ever made a profit. But during that period, it grew into a global force that transformed transportation forever. Amazon operated at a loss for years before becoming one of the most valuable companies in the world. These companies understood that strategic losses are not the opposite of wealth. They are part of the journey toward wealth. The same is true for individuals. The moment you stop fearing the temporary loss of money, you gain access to opportunities most people will never see. You start thinking long-term instead of short-term. You start making decisions based on vision, not fear. You step into the identity of a wealth builder instead of a wealth protector. You begin trusting yourself, your ability to learn, and your ability to recover. Money grows when you grow, and growth requires stepping into spaces where you don't have all the answers yet. It requires faith. It requires courage. It requires leaving the safety of the shoreline and trusting that better waters exist beyond the familiar. So ask yourself honestly, has fear been guiding your financial decisions? Have you been protecting your money instead of growing it? Have you mistaken safety for stability? Because if you have, this is the moment everything changes. This is the moment you reclaim your power. This is the moment you shift from fear to strategy, from protection to expansion, from scarcity to abundance. The wealth you want lives on the other side of the fear you've been avoiding. Topic 4. The illusion of playing it safe. Why comfort is a silent wealth killer. One of the greatest obstacles to wealth is not poverty, not lack of opportunity, not lack of education, not economic circumstances. It's comfort. Comfort is seductive. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels predictable. Comfort gives you the illusion that you are protecting yourself. But comfort, when it comes to money, is a silent killer. It doesn't destroy your finances loudly, it destroys them quietly. It doesn't confront you directly, it lulls you to sleep. It convinces you that staying where you are is smarter than stepping into the unknown. And this illusion is responsible for holding millions of people back from the wealth, freedom, and abundance they truly desire. Most people don't realize how deeply comfort shapes their financial decisions. You might think, I'm just being practical, or I'm being responsible, or I'm avoiding unnecessary risks. But the truth is, if you strip away the justification, what remains is fear wrapped in logic. The comfort zone disguises itself as intelligence. It disguises itself as stability. It disguises itself as protection. But in reality, comfort is the most expensive lifestyle you can ever choose because it costs you your potential. Look around. The world's most successful people did not get where they are by staying comfortable. Not a single one. They became wealthy because they chose growth over familiarity, expansion over fear, and courage over convenience. Comfort is where dreams stagnate. Growth is where wealth happens. Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx and the youngest self-made female billionaire in history, once said something powerful. The most rewarding things in life are often the ones that scare you the most. She built her billion-dollar company not because she stayed with what was familiar, but because she stepped into the unknown again and again, ignoring the seductive pull of comfort. Comfort keeps people in the same job for 20 years, even when they know it's draining their potential. Comfort keeps people saving tiny amounts while avoiding opportunities that could radically change their lives. Comfort keeps people living in predictable routines, making predictable decisions, and expecting unpredictable breakthroughs. But breakthroughs never come from comfort. Breakthroughs come from discomfort, the kind of discomfort that stretches you, challenges you, and pushes you into new financial realities. The deception of comfort is that it doesn't feel like a decision. It feels like the normal choice. And because it feels normal, most people don't question it. They accept it as the rational path. But here's what wealthy individuals learned early. Comfort and wealth rarely coexist. Wealth demands expansion. Expansion demands discomfort. And discomfort demands courage. Think about Netflix. At the time when Blockbuster ruled the home entertainment industry, Netflix had a choice: stay comfortable with their DVD rental-by-mail business or step into the unknown world of digital streaming, a world many experts said was too new, too risky, too uncertain. Netflix chose discomfort. They disrupted themselves before someone else could disrupt them. They became one of the most influential media companies in the world because they didn't cling to comfort. Blockbuster, on the other hand, clung to what was familiar. They stayed comfortable. They believed their success would continue without change. And where did that comfort lead? To collapse. Not because they were weak or foolish, but because they trusted the illusion of safety that comfort creates. Individuals make the same mistake every day. They cling to the job that feels familiar. They avoid investing in themselves because it feels too risky. They keep doing what they've always done because it feels safe. They reject opportunities not because the opportunity is bad, but because the opportunity is unfamiliar. But unfamiliarity is not danger. Unfamiliarity is the birthplace of wealth. Imagine this. You're standing on a cliff. Behind you is everything you've ever known. Your habits, your patterns, your beliefs, your fears. In front of you is a vast, open space of possibility. Most people stay glued to the edge, terrified to leap. But the people who leap, the ones who trust that something extraordinary exists beyond what they currently know, are the ones who change their entire financial destiny. Comfort becomes dangerous when it becomes identity. When people start saying, "I'm just not that type of person," or "that's not for me," or "I'm fine where I am," they're not describing reality. They're describing the boundaries of their comfort zone. And the boundaries of your comfort zone are not the boundaries of your potential. Wealthy people stretch those boundaries constantly. They treat discomfort like a compass, not a warning sign. If something feels challenging, they ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" If something feels new, they ask, "What opportunity does this create?" They understand that discomfort is not a signal to retreat. It's a signal to grow. Think about Jeff Bezos in the early days of Amazon. Quitting a stable, prestigious job to start an online bookstore at a time when the internet was barely understood was an incredibly uncomfortable decision. People called him crazy. People doubted him. People laughed. But he didn't choose comfort. He chose expansion. And that expansion created one of the most valuable companies in human history. Even on a smaller scale, the same truth applies. People who upgrade their skills, invest in courses, start businesses, build assets, or explore new income streams are not always comfortable. In fact, they often feel terrified, but they move anyway. And it is in that movement, not in the fearlessness, but in the courage, that wealth is born. Comfort kills urgency. Comfort kills ambition. Comfort kills clarity. Comfort kills the hunger necessary to break through limitations. And the irony is, the most comfortable life you could ever imagine is on the other side of consistent discomfort. Meaning, if you want comfort later, you must choose discomfort now. If you want stability later, you must choose growth now. If you want abundance later, you must choose expansion now. Everything you want lives just beyond the borders of your current comfort zone. So ask yourself, are you living your life guided by what feels familiar or by what feels aligned with your future? Are you choosing the comfort of the present or the expansion of your destiny? The financial reality you experience is a direct mirror of the choices you make. And if those choices are rooted in comfort, your financial reality will never change. But if they are rooted in growth, even when it scares you, you step into a world most people only dream about. Comfort isn't your friend, it's your limitation. And the moment you stop choosing comfort and start choosing growth, everything in your financial life begins to transform. Topic 5. The wealth identity shift. Becoming the person who attracts money instead of chasing it. If there is one truth that separates wealthy people from those who struggle financially, it is this: wealth is an identity before it becomes a reality. Most people spend their lives trying to change their circumstances without changing themselves. They chase money, try new strategies, buy new books, follow new gurus, but nothing truly shifts because they are still operating from the same identity they've always had. You cannot create a wealthy life with the mindset of a financially insecure person. You cannot attract abundance with the identity of someone who believes they're not worthy of it. Identity shapes destiny, and nowhere is that more obvious than in the world of money. Here's what almost no one is taught. You don't earn wealth, you become wealth. You don't chase money. You become the kind of person money is drawn to. Money flows to certain identities the same way water flows downhill. Naturally, effortlessly, predictably. Wealthy people aren't wealthy because of luck. or genetics or privilege. They are wealthy because the way they think, feel, behave, and decide aligns with expansion, not survival. Let's start with this. Your identity is not who you think you are. It's who you've practiced being. If you practiced worrying, money becomes a source of stress. If you practiced scarcity, money becomes something that never feels enough. If you practiced fear, money becomes something you avoid making decisions about. If you practiced playing small, money becomes something that stays small around you. You don't attract what you want. You attract what your identity is calibrated to receive. But wealthy individuals practice a different identity. They practice thinking long-term. They practice seeing themselves as creators, not victims. They practice believing that their ideas, efforts, and actions can generate extraordinary outcomes. They practice boldness. They practice growth. They practice self-trust. This practice becomes personality, and that personality becomes identity. Look at someone like Steve Jobs. Before Apple became a multi-trillion-dollar company, Jobs already saw himself as a visionary. Before the world believed in him, he believed in himself. Before he had proof, he had identity. And that identity shaped every decision he made, the risks he took, the innovation he insisted on, the standards he enforced. His identity wasn't built from his results. His results were built from his identity. It's the same pattern you see with Oprah. Her childhood circumstances could have locked her into a life of limitation. But her identity, strong, visionary, abundant, expansive, transformed those circumstances into a launchpad. She didn't wait to become powerful. She decided she was powerful long before anyone else recognized it. That decision shaped her destiny. Money responds to identity. Money responds to self-image. Money responds to inner truth. And the mistake 99% of people make is trying to attract abundance while holding on to identities built on fear, doubt, guilt, and limitation. You cannot hold on to your old identity and expect a new financial reality. There's a saying, a poor mind cannot hold a rich life. This doesn't mean someone with little money is poor in mind. It means someone who thinks in scarcity cannot sustain abundance. Even lottery winners prove this. Most lose everything within a few years, not because they didn't receive money, but because they didn't become the person capable of sustaining it. They received wealth without the identity to match it. Your identity sets your financial thermostat. If you see yourself as someone who makes just enough, life reflects that. If you see yourself as someone who can't afford things, that becomes your reality. If you see yourself as someone who isn't good with money, you subconsciously avoid opportunities. Your behavior becomes predictable because your identity demands consistency. Your subconscious mind will sabotage anything that contradicts who you believe you are. But when your identity shifts, everything shifts. A wealthy identity is not about having millions in the bank. It's about thinking like someone who trusts their ability to create value. It's about seeing yourself as someone who deserves financial freedom. It's about expecting opportunities instead of fearing losses. It's about believing you can learn any skill, overcome any setback, and build anything you put your energy into. Imagine two people walking into the same opportunity. Let's say an investment or a business idea. One person is governed by a scarcity identity. Their thoughts sound like, "This seems risky. I don't know enough. What if it doesn't work?" Their identity forces them to pull back. They avoid, hesitate, delay. The opportunity passes. Their life stays the same. Now the second person walks in with an abundance identity. Their thoughts sound like, "I can learn this. I can grow into this. I can figure it out. I deserve to explore this." Their identity pushes them forward. They take the step. They expand. They grow. Their life elevates. Same opportunity, different identity, opposite results. This is why trying to apply strategies without shifting your identity feels frustrating. You can't plant millionaire habits in a mindset that fears growth. You can't build wealth until you see yourself as someone who is capable of holding it. And the shift begins with a simple but powerful question. Who do I believe I am when it comes to money? Be brutally honest. Most people have never asked themselves that, and it shows in their financial patterns. You might discover you see yourself as a saver, not a builder, a survivor, not a creator, someone who makes do, not someone who expands, someone who hopes things work out, not someone who makes things work. Once you see the identity you've been operating from, you gain the power to change it. Wealthy people didn't wait for money to change their identity. They changed their identity first, and money followed. Identity is the soil, money is the fruit. Change the soil and the fruit grows naturally. And here's the most liberating truth. Identity is not fixed. It's not permanent. It's not inherited. Identity is chosen, built, reinforced, and repeated. You can choose today to step into the identity of someone who attracts opportunities, multiplies money, makes bold decisions, and believes in their financial future. You can choose today to stop being the person who limits themselves and start being the person who inspires themselves. The question is no longer, how do I make more money? The real question is, who must I become so that more money naturally flows into my life? When you answer that question honestly and begin embodying the person you know you can be, wealth will begin responding to you in ways you never imagined. Money doesn't create identity. Identity creates money. Topic 6. The power of financial awareness. Why most people don't know where their money is going. One of the most surprising truths about money is this. People don't become broke overnight. They become broke slowly, quietly, silently, one unconscious decision at a time. And the reason this happens is simple. Most people have no real awareness of their financial patterns. They don't know where their money is going, how their habits shape their future, or how their daily decisions compound into their financial destiny. They operate in a kind of financial fog, a haze that keeps them stuck repeating the same cycle without ever realizing why. Let me tell you something that might shock you. Even people who earn high incomes often have no idea how their money actually behaves. They know their salary, but they don't know their spending patterns. They know their bills, but they don't know their leakage points. They know they want to save, but they don't know how much they waste. And because they don't track the flow of money, they assume the problem is always not earning enough. But earning more doesn't fix a lack of awareness. It just increases the size of the unconscious cycle. Financial awareness is not just about budgeting or spreadsheets or apps. It's about consciousness. It's about understanding that your money is telling a story. And most people never take the time to read it. Money reveals your patterns, your priorities, your fears, your values, your impulses, and your identity. And the most dangerous position you can be in is not low income, but low awareness. A wealthy mind with a modest income can build a fortune. A low awareness mind with a high income can lose everything. This is why athletes who suddenly earn millions often end up bankrupt. It's not because they're irresponsible, it's because they weren't trained in awareness. They knew how to make money, but not how to understand it, direct it, or manage it. Their identity was still operating from scarcity, survival, and confusion. And when money enters a confused system, it disappears. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you ended a month thinking, where did all my money go? How many times have you looked at your bank balance and felt confused? How many times have you promised yourself to save more, only to repeat the same behaviors? This is not a failure of willpower. It's a lack of visibility. You cannot change what you cannot see. You cannot transform what you do not measure. Awareness precedes transformation, always. Now let's look at wealthy individuals. It might surprise you to know that wealthy people do not have more discipline. They have more clarity. They know exactly where their money goes. They know exactly what their assets are doing. They know their numbers, their patterns, their strategies. Not because they obsess over every penny, but because they understand that money behaves like energy, and energy flows where attention goes. When you give your money attention, it expands. When you ignore it, it disappears. Jeff Bezos once said that data is everything. Amazon became one of the most successful companies in the world because it mastered information. It studied customer behavior relentlessly. It tracked patterns nobody else cared to notice. It predicted trends based on awareness. Financial awareness works the same way. When you understand your own data, your habits, your triggers, your cycles, you gain control over your financial destiny. You become the CEO of your money instead of the employee of your bills. Financial awareness doesn't mean restriction. It means empowerment. Awareness doesn't limit you. It frees you. When you know where every dollar goes, you gain a sense of power that most people never experience. You feel connected to your decisions instead of confused by them. You make choices based on truth instead of impulse. You approach money with intention instead of fear. But here's the part most people don't know. Financial awareness is emotional, not just logical. People don't overspend because they lack math skills. They overspend because they use money to soothe stress, to escape discomfort, to reward themselves for surviving difficult days. They use money to feel something, or to avoid feeling something. Without emotional awareness, financial awareness becomes impossible. Have you ever bought something not because you needed it, but because you wanted relief, comfort, excitement, a momentary sense of power or pleasure? This is not a flaw, it's a pattern. Your spending is often a reflection of your emotions, not your income. That's why wealthy individuals don't just develop financial strategies, they develop emotional intelligence around money. Rihanna is a perfect example. Early in her career, she came dangerously close to financial ruin because she didn't have awareness of her money. It wasn't her fault. She had a team. She was young. She trusted others. But when she discovered that her financial reality didn't match her expectations, she didn't fall apart. She woke up. She shifted into awareness. And that awareness led her to create Fenty, a billion-dollar empire. Her financial transformation didn't begin with a business idea. It began with clarity. Awareness transforms everything. When you track your patterns, you begin to notice things like, I spend too much on emotional relief. I avoid looking at my finances because it makes me anxious. I use money to feel valuable. I give too much financial power to other people. I underinvest in myself even when I know it could change my life. I make money decisions from fear, not vision. These realizations are not weaknesses. They are breakthroughs. Awareness is light, and money grows in the light. Imagine having a clear, calm understanding of your financial life. Imagine knowing exactly what's leaving, what's coming in, what's growing, and what's draining you. Imagine feeling in control, capable, confident, and intentional with money. That feeling is the foundation of wealth, not the actual dollars, the awareness behind them. Because here's the truth. Most people never learn. Wealthy people do not build wealth with money. They build wealth with awareness, decisions, and alignment. Money follows those things. Money responds to clarity. Money multiplies when you direct it consciously. Without awareness, you're guessing. With awareness, you're building. Ask yourself honestly, do you truly know your financial patterns? Or are you living on autopilot? Are you consciously creating your financial life? Or are you reacting to it? Once you build financial awareness, money stops being a mystery and starts becoming a tool. And tools, when used well, can build anything, including the abundant life you've always envisioned. Topic 7. The Wealth Equation. Why skills multiply. Money faster than saving ever will. There is a reason why some people rise financially no matter where they start, while others remain stuck even when they earn more. The difference is not luck. It's not privilege. It's not timing or connections or being born into the right family. The real difference is in something far more powerful and far more overlooked: the ability to build skills that multiply money. Most people believe the key to wealth is saving, cutting expenses, being careful, or being responsible. But saving is not a wealth strategy. It's a survival strategy. Saving protects you, but it doesn't elevate you. Saving maintains your current life, but it doesn't transform it. Wealth doesn't come from what you keep. Wealth comes from who you become. Think about this for a moment. If saving truly created wealth, every person who lives frugally, every person who avoids risk, every person who pinches pennies, every person who calculates every grocery bill would eventually become rich. But that's not what happens. People save for decades and still struggle. They save for years and still feel financially insecure. They save their whole lives and still don't experience freedom. Why? Because saving doesn't multiply money. It only preserves it. And money that is merely preserved eventually loses value through inflation, cost of living, fear-based decisions, and stagnant opportunities. Now look at people who rise financially at extraordinary speed. Look at entrepreneurs, creators, leaders, innovators, investors. They don't save their way to wealth. They skill build their way to wealth. They invest in becoming more valuable. They learn skills that expand their opportunities, their thinking, their income, their impact, their decision-making power. They understand something that most people never learn. Money grows in proportion to your ability to create value, and value comes from skill. Take a look at someone like Elon Musk. People admire his wealth, but they don't study the real reason behind it, his obsession with learning. Before he built Tesla or SpaceX, he spent thousands of hours reading, studying, understanding, analyzing, absorbing. He didn't wait for someone to teach him, he taught himself. His skills became his leverage, his knowledge became his wealth. He built companies with brilliance, not dollars. His money came later, but his skills came first. Or look at Oprah. People see the empire she created, but they don't realize that her greatest asset isn't her network or her fame. It's her communication skill, her emotional intelligence, her ability to connect deeply with millions of people. That skill transformed her entire life. That skill built her brand. That skill turned her into one of the most influential women in history. Her money didn't create her skill. Her skill created her money. Skills are the real currency. Skills are the real investment. Skills are the real foundation of abundance. You can lose money, but you cannot lose the skills that created it. Money can crash, but your skills always allow you to rise again. Money can disappear, but your mastery stays with you forever. Skills give you confidence because they give you the ability to rebuild, recreate, and reinvent yourself as many times as necessary. Most people fear losing money because they don't have skills that can replace it. Most people cling to comfort because they don't feel capable of creating more. Most people stay stuck because they mistakenly believe money is the goal, when in reality, skill is the engine. Once you build skills, money becomes the side effect. The fastest way to multiply money is not by saving it, but by increasing your capacity to create it. Saving might add a small percentage to your bank account, but skills can multiply your income tenfold, 100-fold, even 1,000-fold. Skills change your earning power. Skills attract opportunities. Skills elevate your confidence. Skills open doors you didn't even know existed. Think about the difference between someone who earns minimum wage and someone who earns six figures. Both have 24 hours in a day. The difference is not effort, it's skill. Think about the difference between someone who is constantly worried about bills and someone who can create income at will. The difference is not intelligence, it's skill. Think about the difference between someone who spends their life hoping for a raise and someone who creates income streams through their abilities. The difference is not luck, it's skill. Every wealthy person knows this. Warren Buffett says it plainly. The best investment you can make is in yourself, not in stocks, not in real estate, not in crypto, in yourself. Because when you invest in yourself, in your knowledge, your abilities, your capacity to think strategically, you become the person who can generate money in any environment. You become someone who doesn't depend on luck or circumstances or the economy. You become someone who doesn't fear the future because you know you can create it. Skills are not only technical. Skills can be emotional, social, creative, strategic, analytical, intuitive, psychological. Communication is a skill. Negotiation is a skill. Leadership is a skill. Problem solving is a skill. Creativity is a skill. Decision-making is a skill. Confidence is a skill. And each one of these skills shapes your financial outcomes more than any savings plan ever will. The people who build wealth focus on skill building the way others focus on saving. They invest in courses, mentors, books, training, coaching, experiences. They know that every skill they acquire multiplies their earning ability. They know that the stronger their skills become, the less they fear loss, the less they feel stuck, the more they feel unstoppable. Skills create internal security. Income creates external security. And real wealth requires both. Imagine yourself mastering a skill that increases your income dramatically. Imagine yourself becoming so good at something that opportunities come to you effortlessly. Imagine yourself developing an ability that makes you valuable in any environment. Imagine yourself learning something that gives you access to income streams you never imagined possible. This is the power of skills. They don't just change your financial situation, they change your identity. Saving is important, but saving will never elevate you into abundance without the skills to multiply what you save. Saving is the safety net. Skills are the ladder. Saving protects you from falling. Skills help you rise. There is nothing more powerful than becoming someone who can generate money through skill rather than through luck or circumstance. And here's the truth most people never hear. You don't need more money. You need more ability. You don't need more restrictions. You need more mastery. You don't need more fear-driven saving. You need more confidence-driven skill building. Once you understand this, everything in your financial life starts to transform. Topic 8. The mindset of expansion. Why millionaires think bigger, while others think just enough. If there is one psychological difference that separates those who build wealth from those who stay financially stuck, it's this. Wealthy people think in terms of expansion, while most people think in terms of survival. Wealthy people dream in terms of how far can I go, while others think, how do I get by? Wealthy people ask, how do I multiply this, while others ask, how do I not lose this? The gap between enough and expansion is the gap between scarcity and abundance, between stagnation and growth, between financial limitation and financial freedom. Most people don't realize how small their thinking has become because small thinking feels safe. It feels familiar. It feels responsible. But small thinking keeps your life small. It keeps your money small. It keeps your decisions small. And when your decisions are small, your outcomes can only be small. Big results don't come from small thinking. They come from visionary thinking, expansive thinking, bold thinking. And this is why millionaires move differently. Their minds have been trained to see possibilities where others see obstacles. Their imaginations are wired to create futures instead of merely surviving the present. You can see this difference everywhere. Most people look at their paycheck and calculate how to stretch it. Wealthy people look at their paycheck and ask how to expand beyond it. Most people look at problems and see walls. Wealthy people look at problems and see doorways. Most people plan for the next month. Wealthy people plan for the next decade. The thinking is entirely different, and thinking always comes before wealth. Take someone like Jeff Bezos. He didn't build Amazon by thinking small. When Amazon was just an online bookstore, Bezos wasn't dreaming about selling a few books or becoming a slightly better version of Barnes & Noble. He was dreaming about creating the world's largest marketplace. He was dreaming about transforming global commerce. He was dreaming beyond what made sense at the time. That expansion mindset is why Amazon became what it is today. Bezos didn't think in terms of limits. He thought in terms of possibility. Or consider Walt Disney. When he created Disneyland, banks refused to fund him because they said his dream was too unrealistic, too big, too risky, too ridiculous. But Walt Disney wasn't thinking in terms of safety. He was thinking in terms of magic, imagination, and expansion. He saw what no one else saw. He believed what no one else believed. And because of that, he built something the world had never seen before. That's what happens when your mind thinks in expansion instead of restriction. Even Oprah, when she built her own network, didn't do it because it was safe. She did it because she was thinking bigger than television, bigger than interviews, bigger than talk shows. She was thinking in terms of impact. She was thinking in terms of legacy. She was thinking in terms of expansion. And expansion doesn't come from comfort, it comes from vision. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people have been trained to think small their entire lives. They've been taught that dreaming big is reckless, that wanting more is greedy, that ambition is dangerous, that asking for abundance is unrealistic. They've been conditioned to shrink their desires, lower their expectations, and silence their potential. And because they suppress their expansion, they suppress their wealth. Small thinking sounds like, I just want enough to get by. If I could just make a little more, I'd be fine. I don't need much, I just need stability. These statements feel humble, but they are actually self-imposed ceilings. When you ask for just enough, you block the energy of abundance. When you think small, your decisions follow. And when your decisions are small, your life becomes the reflection of that limitation. Wealthy people don't ask for just enough. They ask for what's possible. They expand the vision of their lives before reality matches it. They think in terms of overflow, not scarcity. They think in terms of creation, not limitation. They invest in themselves, their businesses, their ideas, their skills, their future. They visualize bigger outcomes, take bigger actions, and therefore receive bigger results. Expansion mindset isn't about greed or excess. It's about growth. It's about believing that you are capable of more, deserving of more, and meant for more. It's about understanding that the universe is abundant, opportunities are infinite, creativity is limitless, and your potential is far greater than your current circumstances. You are not meant to live in financial survival mode. You are meant to thrive. This becomes clear when you look at companies like Google. Google didn't grow by thinking, how do we become a slightly better search engine? They thought, how do we organize all the world's information? That is expansion thinking. The same mindset gave birth to Google Maps, YouTube, Android, Gmail, and countless other innovations. Google thinks in terms of global impact, and because of that, its wealth reflects its vision. Now, imagine applying this principle to your personal life. Imagine shifting from, I hope I can pay my bills, to, I am becoming the kind of person who never worries about money again. Imagine shifting from, I want a little more income, to, I am building multiple streams of abundance. Imagine shifting from, I just need enough, to, I am expanding into my highest potential. This shift in mindset changes how you speak, how you act, how you make decisions, how you invest, how you trust yourself, how you see opportunity, and how you respond to uncertainty. Expansion thinking lifts you out of survival mode and into creation mode. It raises your financial thermostat. It unlocks possibilities that small thinking could never even perceive. The beautiful thing about expansion mindset is that it's available to everyone. You don't need money to think big. Thinking big is what eventually brings money. You don't need proof to think big. Thinking big is what creates the proof. You don't need circumstances to justify expansion. Expansion is what transforms your circumstances. But here's the most important truth of all. Expansion is a choice, a daily choice, a conscious choice, a courageous choice. You choose to dream bigger, even when the world tells you to shrink. You choose to stretch your vision even when your circumstances haven't caught up yet. You choose to believe in more even when you cannot see it yet. You choose to step into the identity of someone who is expanding, rising, elevating, evolving. Because the moment you expand your mind, your life begins expanding to match it. Wealth always follows expansion. Expansion always starts in the mind. And the moment you begin thinking bigger, your financial destiny begins to shift in ways you never imagined possible. Topic 9. Breaking the cycle. Why most people repeat the same money habits for a lifetime. There's a heartbreaking truth about money that very few people ever confront. Most people do not live new financial lives. They relive the same financial year over and over again. The numbers change, but the patterns stay the same. The income changes, but the habits stay the same. The opportunities rise, but the decisions stay the same. And because the decisions never evolve, the results never evolve either. This cycle becomes so normalized that people start to believe it's just how life is. But it's not how life is, it's how their patterns are. When you zoom out and really look at how people behave with money, it becomes obvious. They're not making conscious financial decisions. They're repeating inherited ones. They're repeating the patterns they learned from their parents, from school, from culture, from the environment they grew up in. Patterns about saving, patterns about spending, patterns about fear, patterns about guilt, patterns about what is normal, patterns about what is safe, patterns about what is possible. And because these patterns become familiar, people confuse them with truth. Imagine a person who grew up hearing statements like, money is hard to earn. People like us never get ahead. Rich people are greedy. You have to struggle to make it. You should be grateful for what you have and not want more. They don't question these beliefs. They become their internal programming. And that programming becomes the blueprint behind every money decision they make, often without even realizing it. This is why you see people who get a raise and immediately increase their spending. It's why you see people who finally save a little money and subconsciously create emergencies to spend it. It's why people avoid investing not because it's too risky, but because it threatens the financial identity they've carried for years. It's why people sabotage opportunities, delay actions, and choose comfort over growth. Their subconscious patterns are driving the car, while their conscious mind sits in the passenger seat, wondering why life keeps going in circles. Behavioral psychologists say something profound. Humans don't make decisions. Their patterns make decisions. And this is especially true with money. You might think you're choosing to stay in the same job, hesitating to invest, avoiding financial conversations, or staying stuck in the same habits. But in reality, your patterns are choosing for you. Think of it like this. Money isn't just a financial issue. It's a psychological one. It's tied to self-worth, identity, safety, beliefs, fear, desire, emotion. Money is never just about money. Money is about who you believe yourself to be. If you believe you're someone who barely gets by, your patterns will make sure you barely get by. If you believe you're someone who always ends up struggling, your patterns will create situations that confirm that. If you believe you're someone who just can't get ahead, your patterns will make sure you never move ahead. Your subconscious mind wants consistency, not success. It wants familiarity, not growth. It wants the known, not the possible. And because it craves consistency, it pulls you toward the same financial decisions again and again, even when those decisions keep you stuck, even when they create stress, even when they sabotage your potential. The mind prefers a predictable struggle over an unfamiliar breakthrough. This is why people stay in the same financial cycle for decades, even when they want change, even when they pray for change, even when they read books and watch videos and take notes. They are trying to create a new life with an old blueprint. And that blueprint is designed for survival, not abundance. Now let's look at wealthy individuals for contrast. Wealthy people have patterns too, but their patterns are fundamentally different. They have patterns of investing, patterns of learning, patterns of taking calculated risks, patterns of asking questions instead of avoiding them, patterns of seeking opportunities instead of fearing them, patterns of creating value instead of consuming it, patterns of thinking long-term instead of reacting emotionally. These patterns didn't come from luck. They came from identity. They came from a mindset trained to expand instead of contract. They came from environments, mentors, experiences, and decisions that reinforced abundance instead of scarcity. And because their identity supports expansion, their patterns automatically steer them toward wealth-building behavior. The key difference is not intelligence, it's conditioning. If you look at someone like Warren Buffett, his habits, reading, learning, analyzing, investing, are patterns. They're not occasional choices. They're automatic. They run in the background, shaping his outcomes without conscious effort. That's the power of identity-based patterns. They work for you, not against you. Most people, however, have identity patterns that push them toward staying small, toward fearing loss, toward believing it's too late, toward thinking, I'm not good with money, toward assuming people like me don't succeed like that. These limiting beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies, not because they're true, but because the mind searches for evidence to confirm them. Consider the story of someone like J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she was living on government assistance. The difference between her and millions of others in similar circumstances was not talent alone. It was the decision to break a pattern. She broke the narrative that her situation defined her. She broke the belief that she wasn't capable of more. She broke the cycle of limitation that held her back. And once the pattern changed, the results changed. Breaking money patterns always begins internally, never externally. You don't break a pattern by earning more money. You break it by becoming more aware. You break it by questioning the beliefs you inherited. You break it by asking yourself, is this really mine? Or is this something I absorbed unconsciously? You break it by rewiring your identity, not by forcing new behaviors. When identity shifts, behavior follows. When behavior shifts, results follow. When results shift, life transforms. The cycle breaks the moment you decide to stop repeating the past. The moment you stop allowing your patterns to run your life. The moment you stop accepting normal as your financial destiny. The moment you decide that your mind, not your history, will determine your wealth. Imagine what becomes possible when your subconscious is aligned with abundance instead of fear. Imagine waking up with money habits that support you instead of sabotage you. Imagine making decisions from confidence instead of anxiety. Imagine stepping into opportunities without the resistance of old beliefs. This is what happens when the cycle breaks. Your future becomes bigger than your past. You are not stuck because of what you lack. You are stuck because of what you repeat. And the moment you interrupt the repetition, you open the door to a financial life you've never experienced before. Topic 10. The turning point. Choosing a new money reality and becoming the exception. At some point in your life, you reach a moment where you have to make a choice, a real choice, Not the kind of decision you make unconsciously, not the kind of decision you make because you're tired or scared or repeating the same behavior you've always known, but a conscious, deliberate, powerful choice, the kind that redefines the direction of your entire life. And when it comes to money, this moment is everything. It is the turning point where you decide whether you will continue living the patterns you inherited or step into the abundance you were meant for. This moment is where you become one of the rare people, the exception, who breaks the invisible financial cycle that holds most of the world hostage. The truth is, nothing changes until you change. Not because the world is against you, not because opportunities are rare, not because luck is limited, but because your inner shift is the key that unlocks everything else. Many people spend their lives waiting for circumstances to improve. They wait for a higher income, for the right timing, for the economy to change, for a sign from life that it's their moment. But life doesn't work that way. Circumstances don't change you. You change your circumstances. And wealth doesn't come from waiting. Wealth comes from awakening. If you've been watching this video and something inside you has been stirring, a feeling that you've been living below your potential, a frustration with repeating the same money cycle, a quiet inner voice telling you that you're meant for more, that feeling is not random. It's the beginning of transformation. It's your inner wisdom telling you the truth, that you have been playing small, that you've been living in patterns that do not match the size of your soul, that you've been accepting a financial life that is not aligned with who you truly are. But here's the beautiful part. You are not stuck. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are right at the edge of a breakthrough. Everything you've learned in this video, the patterns, the fears, the mindsets, the identities, they've all been leading you to this moment. Because once you see your patterns clearly, you are no longer controlled by them. Awareness frees you. Awareness empowers you. Awareness is the beginning of rewriting your story. Every wealthy person has a story of a turning point, a moment where they decided to think differently, act differently, live differently. A moment where the old life no longer fit and the new life became non-negotiable. For some, it was a moment of pain. For others, a moment of clarity. For many, a moment just like this, sitting alone with the realization that something had to change and that they were the only ones who could change it. Take the story of Jim Carrey. Before he became one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood, he was broke, struggling, living in a van with his family. But one night, he made a decision. He drove to the top of Mulholland Drive in Los Angeles, looked out over the city, and declared that he would become successful. He didn't have proof. He didn't have resources. He didn't have a clear plan. But he made a choice, a final, unshakable decision about who he was going to become. He wrote himself a check for $10 million, dated it for the future, and carried it in his wallet. Years later, he was earning exactly that amount per film. That check didn't create his success. His decision did. His identity shift did. His belief did. His willingness to break his old reality did. You see the same pattern in people like Sarah Blakely, who decided she would become wealthy even while selling fax machines door to door. Or Rihanna, who decided she wouldn't just make music, she would build a billion-dollar brand. Or Jeff Bezos, who walked away from a secure, prestigious job because he refused to ignore his potential. Every story of abundance begins with a single moment of courage, a moment where the future becomes louder than the past, a moment where expansion overpowers fear. So here's the question. When is your moment? When does your financial life shift from survival to expansion, from fear to strategy, from scarcity to abundance? When does your identity rise to match the wealth you desire? When you decide it does. That's the only answer. Wealth begins the moment you stop repeating the patterns that keep you small and choose to become the person who grows, creates, invests, expands, and steps boldly into their potential. This is not about pretending your challenges don't exist. It's about refusing to let them define you. It's about creating a new pattern, a new standard, a new level of expectation for yourself. It's about choosing the discomfort of growth over the comfort of stagnation. It's about embracing the truth that abundance is not something you chase. It's something you align with. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. Same habits, same decisions, same fears, same patterns. What does your life look like? Now imagine yourself 1 year from now having made this decision today, to think bigger, to build skills, to release fear, to step into courage, to break the cycle, to expand your identity. What does that life look like? The difference between those two futures is not money. It's who you choose to become. You are not meant to repeat the same financial mistakes forever. You are not meant to live in fear of money. You are not meant to shrink your dreams to fit your circumstances. You are meant to grow your circumstances to fit your dreams. You are meant to rise. You are meant to expand. You are meant to create a reality that aligns with your inner power. This is your turning point. Not tomorrow, not next year, not when things improve. Now, right now. This moment is your invitation to become the exception. The person who breaks the generational patterns, who rewires their identity, who embraces abundance, who becomes the author of their financial destiny. The person who stops making the mistake 99% of people make and steps boldly into the truth that wealth is not something you wait for. It's something you choose. The future you desire is waiting for you. But it can only meet the version of you who decides to rise. If this message opened your eyes, if something inside you shifted, if even one sentence made you look at money, at yourself, and at your future differently, then don't let this be just another video you watch and forget. Let this be your moment of transformation. Let this be the beginning of your new financial identity. So take a breath, ground yourself, and before you go, do 3 simple things that help this message reach more people who need it. Subscribe to the Success and Prosperity Code channel so you never miss the ideas, the lessons, and the powerful shifts that can change your financial destiny. Like this video, because every tap tells YouTube this content matters and helps it reach someone who's still stuck in the old money cycle. Comment below and tell me the biggest insight, the breakthrough, the pattern you're ready to break. Your comment might become the turning point for someone else reading. And share this video with someone you care about, a friend, a family member, someone who deserves a better financial future, but just needs the right spark. You are not alone on this journey. You're part of a community of people choosing to rise, choosing to grow, choosing to become the exception. And if you stay with us, video after video, your financial life will never be the same again. Your abundance starts now.